Hey guys, what's up? I haven't posted it, or actually I did post it just a few days ago, but I thought I'd post again because you see, we have hit over 120 views on YouTube now. I know that sounds gay. With 10 videos, 120 views isn't all that much to be that excited about. But considering when I started this, I didn't think I'd get more than 20 hits and 10 of those would be for my grandma. I'd say I'm doing pretty good. So cheers to that. Now, I'm going to do a card magic trick for you. And it's not any card magic trick, because this is a trick that pays tribute to my idol. A man I grew up watching as a young boy in the 1980s, who has inspired me throughout the decades to be the person that I am today. Now, I know you're hearing young man, 1980s, does magic. Obviously, you think I'm talking about David Copperfield. That's not who I'm talking about. The guy I'm talking about is none other than Charlie Sheen. And so I've come up with a routine paying tribute to Charlie Sheen and all his greatness. I'm just going to need a card here. And I've already written something down on the card. And I just need you, the audience at home, to think of any Charlie Sheen movie or television show that you can think of. This may not work on all of you, but I guarantee some of you at least picked 2.5 Men. And I know that because that's the most common answer, so I wrote it down. Usually when I do this routine for people, that's the answer they say, so I wrote it down. I usually have them write it down themselves or whatever, but since I'm the only person here, this is what you're getting for tonight. Anyway, we're going to use this card to represent Charlie Sheen, okay, throughout this routine. Now, born with the looks of a leading Hollywood man and a famous father in the acting industry, Martin Sheen, it was clear it would be only a matter of time before Charlie Sheen rose to the top of the movie world. And appearances in such films as his debut film, Red Dawn, his second film, I believe The Boys Next Door, as well as his cameo in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, only helped solidify Charlie Sheen's status as a rising star. But perhaps Charlie Sheen's finest hour was in 1986. I'd say his finest hour was banging Denise Richards, but I'm talking about as far as his career is concerned. Charlie Sheen's finest hour was in 1986 when he starred in Platoon, which rose above all other films, winning the Academy Award for Best Picture. By this time being the late 80s, Charlie Sheen fever was in full effect. No matter what magazine you looked at, no matter which television show you watched, no matter which social media site you got on. I know they didn't have social media back then, but a lot of millennials don't know that, so we'll just pretend for their sake because they can't imagine the world without it. But anyway, as I was saying, no matter where you look, at this time, Charlie Sheen could be seen. But then the 90s came around, and for Charlie Sheen, on both a personal and professional level, this was when things started to get a little bit mixed up. On a personal level, he had his first run-on with the law when he accidentally shot his then-fiancée actress Kelly Preston. She probably deserved it. But anyway, it was clear that Charlie Sheen was going through changes. And anyway, this would start a new trend for Charlie Sheen, a trend that continues to this day, that being the trend of constantly getting in trouble with the law. We're going to just go ahead and take a card here. In this case, we'll use it's the black and white Joker. I think that's called the guaranteed Joker. I know the one of them's a premium, one of them's guaranteed. But anyway, the point I'm saying is, wherever there was trouble, there was Charlie Sheen. Now, those were just some of the personal changes he went through. He also went through professional changes. later on in the 90s. And that's where these cards come in. They're called advertising cards, but they're also called commercial cards. And I bring this up because by the 90s, that's what Charlie Sheen had become. He'd become commercial. He stopped doing movies that won Academy Awards like Platoon and Wall Street, and instead started focusing on doing movies like Hot Shot and Major Leagues that weren't critically acclaimed, but they didn't require a lot of work, so he could focus on partying. And they did make money, so, I mean, they were commercial successes, but the point is, it had become clear that Charlie Sheen had become trapped in by commercialism. Now, the last role that Charlie Sheen ever had, he had anger management, but the last one that he had that really was a standout role was when he was the highest paid actor on television on Two and a Half Men. But unfortunately, he got fired because he posted demeaning stuff about the show's producer, Chuck Lorre. Guess Charlie Sheen should have watched his mouth. Boom. But so far, everything I've done for you has been biographical. So I want to give you a chance to do something different. I want you to see the world in what I call Charlie Sheen vision. That is, you're going to see things one way, but the way you're going to see them is not what's going on in reality, like Charlie Sheen sees things, because he's a drug addict. Look, I'm not saying addiction makes you a bad person or anything like that. I'm just saying Charlie Sheen has cut through more lines than a crippled kid at Disneyland. And in order to illustrate my point, I'm just going to use these three cards here. And on the bottom card here, we have the 7 of clubs, and on the top card here, we have the 7 of clubs, and in the middle card here, we have the 7 of clubs. That's what you think you're seeing. That's not what you're actually seeing. Because what you're actually seeing is the 4 of spades on the bottom, and on the top you have the 4 of spades, and in the middle you have the 4 of spades. That's what you think you're seeing. That's not what you're actually seeing. What you're actually seeing is the 7 of clubs and the 4 of spades in Charlie Sheen vision. But I'm always asked, why would you want to be like Charlie Sheen? I mean, the guy does have AIDS after all. True, but it's not completely his fault. I mean, how is he supposed to know that if you spend 30 years having sex with porn stars and prostitutes, that you might get something at some point or another? But anyway, the point I'm making is that me and Charlie always had a connection. And that connection was partying. And sometimes we get a little mixed up, like these cards are here, as you can see. And sometimes we've been known to party a little too hard. Probably him more than me, but I've done my fair share. But the point is, sometimes we excessively party and we find ourselves face down, like this card here. Sometimes we find ourselves face up, like this card here. And sometimes we have benders that go on for back-to-back days, like these cards here. But, like Charlie Sheen, I have Adonis DNA. Like Charlie Sheen, I have tiger's blood. Like Charlie Sheen, I'm a bitch and rock star from Mars. And like Charlie Sheen, I am always winning. And that's my tribute to Charlie Sheen. Anyway, I got a lot of drinking to do tonight, so later, bitches. Suck it.